Hey, this is Carmen. Thanks for joining me. I wanted today to talk about this question that has recently come up for me, and that is why some people respond really well to their Reiki session and others seem to take much, much longer to reach what they had considered their specific intention for their sessions. And the reason why this happens is because we're all different and we're all on a different journey, right? And so our instances, even if we have been, labeled with the same, oh, disease or physical symptoms, or because we like to break everything down into small chunks here in the West. And so if two people have had the same diagnosis, let's say depression for instance, then just because they share that common diagnosis doesn't mean that they have anything else in common. Each one of their lifestyles is probably completely different. Each one of the ways that they have learned about, and the tools that they've learned about are going to be different. The way that they've learned how to use those tools are going to be different. The way that they've integrated using those tools into their life is going to be different. And so it's really not fair for us in the Reiki world to say, well, I have seen this success with this label after X, Y, and Z sessions, when everybody is different and it might not be the same for the next person that comes into your space. So when my clients come into my space and they want to know, right, can you help me? Can Reiki help me with my depression? Yes. How long will it take for Reiki to help me with my depression? That's a good question. And that's truly individual. There are some basic guidelines, like I've mentioned before. Recommend that they purchase a series of sessions and come in on a regular basis. One session can, sure, let's open it up to the possibilities, and one session can be miraculous. I've seen it, especially with pain. That person in their life, on their path, at that moment, was ready, right? They were just ready to merge with their highest potential. And they had a miraculous recovery and a transformational session. Wonderful. But if, that hasn't been the case for this session, where your client is now asking you, well, how many times would I need to come back? Then I always recommend my package. First of all, it's a better deal. I like to be able to figure out ways to give people a break. I had said this in another video. A lot of times if somebody is suffering from a major disease or, some type of ailment or trauma or, PTSD or something like this, repeated sessions sooner rather than later, so quickly, even daily, would be ideal. Now, I know here in the West, we sort of have ourselves in a pickle because we have all decided that, and I mean all, because, I work in a construct of other professionals who are providing a service, and collectively we have defined what that service is going to look like and how much we're going to collectively charge for that service. You're really actually not going to be successful as a practitioner if you price yourself either well below everyone else in your neck of the woods, because potential clients are going to see that as a red flag, that maybe you don't value your session, your services as much as everybody else does. And if you go too high, then of course you're going to struggle to find clients too, unless for some reason you just find that right niche and right those folks that can definitely pay your higher prices. So let's go back to why some people have really great success with Reiki and others don't. Even if they've come in for, let's say, this goal of not being depressed anymore, not having those feelings in their life anymore, they don't, let's say they've been to you for 4 sessions and they don't necessarily feel any lessening of the depression symptoms, I guarantee you that Reiki has affected their life in other ways. They're still coming to see you, which is the first step, and Reiki, as we know, it takes time to uncover those layers, but it can be seriously transforming. So stick with it. Have them come as much as possible. You might need to be flexible with your clients and be reasonable with your monetary expectations on what your client can afford. But certainly, everyone's different. Reiki's going to help. So I would stick with that. I hope this was helpful. Many, many blessings. Namaste.